Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so I want you to start by doing something a little unusual. Close your eyes for just a second and imagine that you have the power to disable every single doorbell in the entire world, all at once. Just poof, switch them all off. I know, it sounds like a totally silly premise, but this simple thought experiment is actually the beginning of a really fascinating journey. We're going to track the incredible evolution of a single everyday sound and discover exactly how a tiny button next to our front doors holds literally centuries of human history.
Okay, let's dive into this. If you actually lived in that world without doorbells, picture the utter chaos. You order a pizza, and instead of a polite little chime letting you know dinner has arrived, you've got a delivery driver screaming at the top of their lungs outside your living room window for like half an hour. You wouldn't even know if it was the pizza guy, the mail carrier, or your next-door neighbor coming over to borrow some sugar. Today, the doorbell acts as this trusty little electronic guardian for our homes. Just one quick press of a button, and we instantly know someone has arrived. But as you'll see, it wasn't always this easy.
So let's start with Section 1, a world without doorbells.
To really appreciate what we have today, we've got to travel back in time a bit. Because for thousands of years, humans basically had to rely on brute force to announce their arrival. You literally used your bare hands to pound on heavy wooden doors. Over time, sure, we upgraded to heavy metal door knockers. But as architecture got grander, the problem got way bigger. Think about medieval castles. If you're standing outside massive fortified walls, no amount of knocking is ever going to be heard over the wind and the distance. So they introduced courtyard ropes. A guest would physically have to pull this heavy, thick rope that was rigged all the way to a massive iron bell hanging deep inside the courtyard just to get the guard's attention.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how some cultures actually began to innovate within those limitations. Take ancient Iran, for example. On the front doors of traditional homes there, they didn't just have one knocker. They installed two distinctly different ones. One was designed specifically for men, producing this deep, heavy, booming sound. The other was for women, crafted to produce a much lighter, sharper tapping sound. By simply listening to the acoustic tone echoing through the halls, the homeowner instantly knew the gender of the guest before even walking over to the entryway. It was an incredibly clever, highly localized solution to a totally universal problem.
Yet, despite clever innovations like those dual knockers, we really have to remember the limitations of this era. Whether it was a fist, an iron ring, or a giant courtyard rope, these early tools simply announced a physical presence. They were absolutely not communication devices. They lacked nuance, deeper context, or honestly any ability to convey a message beyond a very blunt, functional alert that basically screamed, "Hey, someone is standing right here."
That brings us to Section 2, Sounds of Social Status.
As societies evolved, the doorbell completely transformed into a bold declaration of social class. Let me walk you through the aristocratic entry process of the 1800s, because it was practically theatrical. Step 1. A visitor approaches a grand home and pulls an ornate, beautifully polished brass handle or knob. Step 2. This handle is connected to a really sophisticated system of wires and mechanical springs running through the walls, which activates a much louder, clearer bell deep inside the manor. And Step 3. The household servants, whose specific job was to monitor these bells, would immediately drop what they were doing and rush to answer the door. It was a carefully choreographed dance of upper-class living.
So the crucial point is that owning this kind of mechanical doorbell system meant something very specific to society. It wasn't just about knowing someone was there. It was a loud, ringing symbol of dignity and status. It loudly broadcasted to the whole neighborhood and to your guests that you possessed both the wealth to afford this intricate mechanical hardware and the household staff required to answer it.
Moving right along to Section 3, the Electric Revolution.
But the reign of the mechanical spring was about to be cut short by electricity. 1831. Seriously, mark this year in your minds, because this is the exact moment absolutely everything changed for how we enter each other's homes. The entire trajectory of the doorbell pivots right here.
In that specific year, an American scientist and inventor named Joseph Henry achieved a massive breakthrough. He invented the very first electromagnetic bell. This was sheer magic for the time. He entirely eliminated the need for heavy courtyard ropes, massive iron bells, and stiff mechanical springs. Instead, he replaced all of that physical labor with a tiny push button, a simple electrical wire, and an electromagnet.
And this brilliantly illustrates the true power of the Industrial Revolution. Because as electrical grids expanded and mass production took over, these new electric bells became incredibly cheap to manufacture. Almost overnight, the doorbell underwent this massive identity shift. It went from being an aristocratic luxury symbol, something only the absolute wealthiest manors had, to a universal household item. What was once the exclusive domain of the elite became a commodity accessible to absolutely everyone.
Which fast forwards us to Section 4, the smart doorbell era.
The digital revolution has completely reinvented this concept once again, basically turning a simple wire into a complex network of data. Just look at the rapid advancements we have at our front doors today. We have seamless video integration sending high-definition feeds straight to our mobile screens no matter where we are in the world. We have Wi-Fi connectivity allowing for remote, two-way messaging with the delivery driver. We've got integration with digital locks. The doorbell is essentially a miniature computer now. Although I always find it a bit humorous that despite all these massive tech leaps, you can walk down almost any street and find that millions of homes still perfectly rely on that simple, classic two-tone electric chime. Hey, some things just work, right?
But, of course, this new era isn't without its growing pains. Today's engineers aren't just trying to make a bell sound louder or clearer, they are constantly battling entirely new challenges. As our doorbells become interconnected digital guards, they open up really complex debates around navigating privacy and cybersecurity. The very tool we use to keep our homes safe now requires its own digital protection from hackers and data breaches.
And that leads us to our final part, Section 5, more than just sound.
Let's move to and see how this builds across the ages. When you step back and look at this entire timeline, you realize we are talking about something much deeper than a simple household appliance. We started in the ancient era, bruising our hands on wooden doors and metal knockers. We moved to the Middle Ages, hauling on heavy castle ropes. We engineered our way into the 19th century with elaborate mechanical springs. We sparked a revolution in 1831 with Joseph Henry's electromagnets. And now we live in the 21st century with smart Wi-Fi doorbells literally sitting in our pockets. Just look at how far this incredibly simple concept has evolved right alongside our civilization.
Ultimately, this timeline teaches us that the true value of the doorbell lies not in its physical appearance or even in the specific technology it uses, but in the message it carries. The doorbell is basically a philosophical bridge. It teaches us about how we sense the physical presence of others. It represents the delicate, everyday balance we strike between maintaining our home as a private, secure sanctuary and opening it up with warmth and hospitality to the outside world.
As the source material so beautifully captures, the doorbell is a silent teacher of history. It's profound when you really stop to think about it. That simple, everyday chime that we completely take for granted carries the massive, layered weight of human connection, technological progress, and social evolution.
So, I want to leave you with this thought to carry into your day. When your doorbell rings, next, whether it's a sharp digital ping on your smartphone or a classic ding-dong echoing through your hallway, what piece of human history will you hear in that sound? I really hope this explainer has changed the way you look at the everyday objects around you. If you found this journey as fascinating as I did, hit that subscribe button and drop the word doorbell down in the comments so I know you made it all the way to the end and are part of this continuing history. Until next time, I hope only good guests come knocking at your door.